Have you ever stood in your garden and felt the life was completely gone from it? The soil looks pale, compacted and hard as a brick, plants wither no matter what you add, and you start to wonder if it's even worth trying anymore. Many gardeners, especially those of us who've been through decades of planting, watering and hoping, know this exact feeling. You try compost, mulch, maybe even a store-bought soil booster, but the ground just stares back at you stubbornly. That was my reality too, until a forgotten old trick brought my garden back in a way I never expected. What happened next was so dramatic that within 3 days, thousands of earthworms showed up as if someone had rung a dinner bell. Before we get into the exact recipe, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss these kinds of tried and true soil revival secrets on Soil and Plant Doctor. The breakthrough came not from something expensive or complicated, but from something most of us pour down the drain without thinking: rice water. Not the cooking water from boiled rice, but the cloudy rinse water from washing raw grains. That liquid, when allowed to ferment for a couple of days, transforms into a powerhouse that soil organisms can't resist. It's simple, low-cost, and shockingly effective. Here's the key. When you rinse rice, the water collects starches, amino acids, and trace minerals. By itself, it's a weak plant tonic, but when you let it ferment naturally for 2 days in a loosely covered jar, it comes alive with beneficial bacteria and enzymes. These microbes are what set off the chain reaction in your soil, calling in the worms and unlocking nutrients that were stuck and unavailable. Worms don't just crawl into lifeless soil for no reason. They're sensitive creatures that can detect microbial activity and moisture from a distance. When fermented rice water is poured onto dry, compacted ground, it delivers exactly what they're searching for: moisture, microbial life, and softening organic matter. Worms followed those signals into the bed like children running toward the smell of fresh bread. On the 3rd morning after my first application, I pulled back a bit of mulch and the soil looked different, darker, more crumbly, and moving with life. Worms of all sizes were wriggling through it, breaking up the compaction and leaving behind nutrient-rich castings. In just a few days, a patch of soil that had been dead for months was alive again. The best part of this method is how easy it is. You don't need special tools, only patience and consistency. Start with 1 cup of uncooked white rice. Place it in a bowl and add 2 cups of clean, non-chlorinated water. Rainwater is ideal, but if you're using tap water, let it sit out overnight so the chlorine dissipates. Stir the rice thoroughly for about 1 to 2 minutes, just until the water turns cloudy, kind of like diluted milk. Next, strain out the rice and set it aside for cooking as usual. The cloudy liquid, that's what you'll use for the garden. Pour this liquid into a clean glass jar or bottle, and then cover the top with a breathable cloth. Something like a piece of cotton held in place with a rubber band works great. Leave it at room temperature for about 48 hours. You'll know it's ready when it has a slightly sour smell, kind of like yogurt or maybe lightly fermented bread. Before applying, you want to dilute it. Use a ratio of 1 part fermented rice water to 4 parts clean water. This step prevents overconcentration and helps the microbes spread evenly without overwhelming your soil. For example, 1 cup of rice water can be mixed with 4 cups of clean water, giving you 5 cups of diluted solution. Once your mixture is ready, both the timing and the method of application really matter. Always apply fermented rice water to the soil, not to the plant leaves. Pour it gently around the base of your plants or across bare beds. Try to avoid waterlogged ground. This recipe works best when the soil is dry or compacted, because the microbes and moisture can penetrate deeper. If you're reviving a small bed, maybe about 1 square meter, half a liter of diluted solution is usually enough. For larger areas, just scale up proportionally. In raised beds or containers, a smaller dose, about 1 cup per plant, works well. You'll want to repeat this every 2 weeks during the growing season, or whenever you notice the soil is starting to harden up. Now, this isn't folklore or magic, it's microbiology at work. The starches in rice water provide an immediate food source for lactic acid bacteria and other beneficial microbes that naturally colonize the fermenting liquid. When you pour it into the soil, those microbes multiply rapidly, breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus that roots can actually absorb. Earthworms sense that microbial bloom and are drawn in to feed. As they eat and tunnel, they mix the soil, improve aeration, and create castings, some of the most balanced natural fertilizers you can get. In effect, the fermented rice water kickstarts an entire soil food web, setting off a cycle of fertility that continues long after the first application. The immediate appearance of worms is definitely exciting, but honestly, the real power of this method is in the long-term improvements to your soil. With consistent use, you'll notice the soil structure changing. It holds moisture longer, resists compaction, and develops that dark, rich color that signals high organic content. Roots grow deeper, plants get sturdier, and diseases start to diminish as all those beneficial microbes outcompete the harmful ones. Even tired raised beds respond really well. Many gardeners have told me that after a season of using fermented rice water every couple of weeks, they no longer needed synthetic fertilizers at all. The soil itself had become a living system again, feeding plants naturally. What struck me most about this method wasn't just the results, but how it reminded me of gardening wisdom that often gets lost. For generations, people used simple natural ferments, whether that was compost teas, fish emulsions, or fermented plant extracts, to bring life back to their fields. Fermented rice water fits right into that tradition. It costs nothing, doesn't require any heavy lifting, and honestly, delivers results that no store-bought bottle can match. For those of us with aging knees and backs, this approach is especially meaningful. It really proves that you don't need brute strength or expensive tools to revive your soil. Sometimes the most effective solutions are also the gentlest ones. If your garden beds feel tired, compacted, or just plain lifeless, don't give up. Try this fermented rice water method and give it 3 days. Start small, just one patch or one container, and watch closely. You might not see a worm parade overnight, but you'll probably notice the soil getting softer, moister, and just more alive. With patience, the worms will come, and once they do, they'll keep working for you day and night. All it takes is a cup of rice, a jar, and a bit of time. The reward is soil that breathes again, plants that thrive, and the deep satisfaction of knowing you've revived life with something so simple. So there you have it, fellow gardeners, the story of how I poured fermented rice water into dead soil and watched thousands of worms show up in 3 days. If this guide gave you a spark of hope for your own garden, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this with a gardening friend. Together, we'll keep finding ways to bring our soil back to life, one handful at a time.